What's up, everybody? It's another This Week in Nano, where you get to hang out with the Nano Core team for a little bit. Today, we've got Troy, Roy, and a new face, Russell. I was wondering if you guys could introduce yourselves and tell us what your role is on the Core team.
Everybody, I'm Troy Retzer. I do public relations and communications for Nano.
I'm Roy Keane. I do software development for Nano.
And I'm Russell Waters, and I do software development for Nano as well.
Sweet. And I'm Sean. I'm not on the Core team, but the creator of NanoCast, and get the privilege of talking with these guys every once in a while and giving you guys a little update. So, Russell, since this is your first time on here and a lot of people don't know who you are, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about your background, kind of where you're from and your path to Nano.
Yeah, so background-wise, I've actually been all over the place. I haven't just done coding. Actually, my previous job was a technical trainer position for Microsoft certs, basically. And that was fun, but I was tired of it. And some old contacts of mine from when I did crypto previously, I've actually done other coin projects as well. One of my contacts from there was like, hey, Nano's needing some help. Are you interested? It's like, give me a minute. Yes, I'm interested. So that's kind of how I started there. I've done all sorts of other things. I've lived all over the States. I don't know. I did plumbing for 6 years. I've done food service. I varied background. And yet here I sit in front of a computer all day because that's what I enjoy. When I was a plumber, I went by the name Rusty. Why? Well, it was a nickname I picked up at one time.
It's a plumber name.
So I would come in, I'd go, hi, I'm Rusty Waters. I'm here to work on your pipes. And people would look at me like, should I laugh? Funny? Is that okay? But yeah, it was fun. I like situational awkwardness, if you will.
Yeah. Have you got any nicknames on the Nano team yet?
No. I typically stay behind the scenes, out of the limelight. It's kind of nice.
I just call him Russell with 2 L's.
Russell with 2 L's, yeah.
Yes.
I think this is a great time to say, put your best name for Russell in the comments. Let's hear some ideas. What's a good nickname for Russell?
I've heard many names, nicknames, and stuff.
So a lot happened the last couple weeks, and I think we're all really excited about the version 15 coming out soon. But before we get to that, one notable event was getting a fiat on-ramp in the UK.
Yeah, so London Block Exchange, it's a new fiat on-ramp in the UK. We're pretty pumped about it. I know a lot of people in the community have been asking for fiat on-ramps, and our goal is to get them all across the world in every single currency. So this is our first bigger one. We've been doing a treasure hunt in London alongside of them, kind of like a marketing promotion kind of thing. Nobody has solved it yet. I don't know if anybody, do you guys know what these clues mean at all? Have you gotten anything from it? I spent, I don't know, 15 minutes on it on Google Earth and reading the clues, and I was so wrong.
I read the first clue, and I haven't gotten to the other ones yet, but the first clue just seemed like it was London.
Yeah, I had this big whole thing, like I had figured all kinds of different things out for the Enter the Dragon and the 10 corners, and like all figured out, and then they're like, oh, it's just, there's 10 dragons around London. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna go and do something else here. Let this market figure this out.
Well, when I first read it, I was like, this sounds a lot like Lord of the Rings, but I don't know if that was the wrong direction, I guess.
Yeah, good luck to whoever is going to find it. I keep saying there's a lot of people I think are pretty close, so we'll see when this next clue comes out, or if somebody can get it before the next clue.
One question I had about the London Block Exchange is just how long the Nano team's been working with them to make this happen.
I think we've been in contact with them for a few months. Typically, we work alongside of them to integrate. Russell can kind of give you more insight on that. Russell works with all of the exchanges, kind of is there at, I'm going to say what, like 26/8 around the clock support.
I work too much is what my wife says, yes.
He's got somebody in every time zone pinging him at pretty much all hours.
Yeah, so most of it's through like just chats. Obviously, I'm not calling people up all hours of the day, but we go through. We try and help them with any integration, basically understanding how to use the various different RPC calls and tools to actually use Nano in a viable way. So sometimes they'll come back with, "Hey, this is a feature that we kind of need," to which we usually will go through and find a way to implement it, which is kind of nice. But the same times, other times they'll bounce an idea off our head that's like, "Oh no, we didn't really think about it that way. You probably shouldn't run it that way." So
Yeah,
it's a fun trip.
Yeah, the biggest thing is getting all of the the developers on the exchanges kind of, you want them to have an understanding of how Nano works, and it's just a new thing for them. You want to get them while they're integrating to kind of understand as much as possible so that they don't need to then come and ask questions or have issues once they launch.
Yeah, I mostly just wanted to ask because I feel like just in the traditional crypto culture, it's to wake up, check Reddit, find out what's new, and it takes months. So, you can start working on an exchange today, but it's not going to be here for several months.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, you'll talk to some of these exchanges, and you'll kind of come to an agreement, and it could be 3 or 4 months. And like they'll integrate, and then they'll maybe might fall off the map for a couple of days, and then they'll be back to testing, and then they don't tell you when they're going to actually launch. London Block Exchange, we did have a rollout plan with them, but typically these bigger ones, they don't want to give you a date. Even for instance, Binance, we had no idea when Binance was launching. We knew that we won the community vote, but I found out we were live as soon as the community did. I think I was actually pinged at like 6 a.m. by somebody who said like our data got added to he had some Excel sheet that it would let him know when anything was added to Binance, and he pinged me in the middle of the night, and he was like, "Okay, so it's coming here within 48 hours." That's all I knew.
That's awesome. I mean, it's terrible too, but
no, that's how it is. I mean, that's no problem. They want to stop the insider trading and stuff like that, and that's good. We need that.
All right, moving on to the node representative, all those upgrades for version 15. What's the progress on that? Roy, you want to speak to that?
Oh, sure. Yeah, we're about 90% done with that. There's only one outstanding feature, and it's the only large feature in this release that made it to our deadline, which is a vote by hash, which would be a 98% reduction in voting bandwidth utilization. So it's still a good approach. We're also going to have some further bandwidth reductions to bring that down to 99.9% reduction with vote stapling. But there's a lot of other bug fixes that have been put into this release, which will be version 15. The release candidate will come out today, and we're going to run that on the test network, the beta network, for about a week, to make sure we're not running into any problems with these large changes. And then after that, we'll do the final release. This also has all of the primitives needed for lazy bootstrapping. So nodes that are running version 15 can be used to bootstrap other nodes that are doing lazy bootstrapping. So that's the bulk pool changes to pool by a block. Since each chain is a Merkle tree of either 1 or 2 ancestors, you can confirm quite a few blocks from multiple chains with a single confirmation. That's the fundamentals of lazy bootstrapping, that whenever a confirmation comes in, you're able to confirm a large portion of the network from it because it is that Merkle tree structure. And so we just didn't have a way to pull down the entire set of ancestors, and so that gets added. And then the other thing, the other primitive that was added for bootstrapping was the ability to pull by account, where you want to basically, you can confirm passively large parts of the network, but you still want to pull from your peers on the bootstrapping network information about accounts that are in your wallet, so that you'll have that information immediately available, so that your node comes online immediately and has all of its current set of blocks, current set of pending transactions. It's real similar to the way the light wallets work, and that makes it easier to get online quickly without having to wait for the entire ledger to download if you don't want to. We're still working on some of the details for the lazy bootstrapping client as to whether or not your own set of accounts are confirmed by the network. Since you're the only one who can generate blocks from that account, you may not care. You're saying, look, I'm not going to generate forks on my own account, so there's no reason to confirm them, but you may want to also do that. So we're still working on that part, and that's part of the reason lazy bootstrapping didn't make it into this release on the client side like we were hoping. And then the rest of version 15 just has a lot of fixes that we were hoping to get on 14.3, but ended up just rolling them into 15.
So just to confirm or to clarify, you're saying that the vote by hash feature is going to be part of V15? Right. Okay.
And then there's another feature called vote stapling that's going to be part of the next major release, which is orthogonal but similar.
So, and the vote by hash is going to reduce the network traffic by 98%, you said?
It's just the voting traffic.
Voting traffic.
Dominant. Right. So the reduction will be in the 90s, but it may not be 98% because voting traffic dominates the network, but it's not all of the network.
That's like an incredible number. It's kind of crazy. It reminds me of like Moore's law a little bit. Just with each feature, how much more we'd be able to reduce it. And the testing you've done so far, okay, so I think about how like when you see like people who use Nano the first time. So like the first time I used Nano and I sent it from wallet to wallet, it was just one of those like adrenaline rush. Like, holy crap, this sends so fast. As you've been working with some of the stuff you're doing and finally get to implement it like on your your test network that you have, do you have any of those moments?
Oh yeah, I mean when it stops crashing, that's always a good thing. So we spend a lot of time writing the software before it's usable. So there's a lot of time when the software is just unusable. Whenever the feature we're adding, it will cause just do something not useful. It will segfault. It'll produce the incorrect answer. And you have to go and figure out why it produced that answer, because the computers are just a discrete adding machine. So it's doing the right thing. It's doing what you told it to do. Just foolishly told it to do something wrong. So you're trying to diagnose what you actually told the system to do and work through that. And we end up writing a lot of tools for testing each feature as they're added. So a lot of the testing when you're adding new features just is code that gets thrown away because it doesn't make sense to test it in that way every single time. It's just testing each individual change line by line. As you add that change, make sure that mutated state of the system the way you want to get the expected answer. So when it finally produces something that works, then it's great.
Sweet. Russell, do you have anything you want to add? All right.
No, not really.
You don't have to say anything. You just shake your head. Sorry.
Whenever Russell gets the 3 straight sinks on anything, that's when he cracks the beer.
Yeah. Yes. When I can sync from scratch at least 3 times, I am a pleasant person. Well, I'm normally a pleasant person, but yeah.
Yeah, come on. Don't sell yourself short.
So version 15, we did go through, and I've automated the build process for the beta network as well. So it's not just automatically building Windows and Windows and Linux LiveNet. It's also building the beta net, and I have plans to try and get the Mac client building automatically as well. It's going to take a little bit more time.
So one question that a lot of people have had, and I actually was just reading a Reddit post right before this call, is what is the process for deciding what gets included in each new release?
What gets included in each new release is based on based on an overall timeline for things that are on the roadmap, as well as trying to resolve bugs by their severity and impact. And for features like lazy bootstrapping, vote by hash, all that stuff is going based on what we have on the roadmap and building towards solving the overall problem with Nano. Lots of things have to be built on other things. So a lot of our larger projects are actually broken down into smaller projects to get included into releases, and then we wait for the network to be substantially upgraded to those releases so we can use those features on the rest of the nodes. Vote by hash has got some built-in timers that way as well, and then lazy bootstrapping requires that it needs to be able to bootstrap from other nodes on the network, so it needs the client support there first. And a lot of that just comes from looking at what issues people are having and finding out any information we can about the problems people are having, and then trying to prioritize those based on severity and impact.
So Troy, as you look in onto the team and as they're developing all these things, what have you observed as kind of the way they work together?
Yeah, so I mean, it's interesting because we're all a remote team, so we're all spread around. I guess now with Colin being in London, we're spread around the world in different time zones and whatnot. So we mostly use Slack and kind of just are in constant contact with each other. And then we also just have like several phone calls scheduled throughout the week where they can review code, kind of push for different changes to be made or proposals, and then just kind of keep everybody updated. So we kind of have internally like, some project boards where we can follow along with the status of everything. But it seems everybody works really well together. We're not a huge team, and we're all pretty much like just throwing ourselves into this. So everyone's usually around to answer any questions and get stuff done. It's all about getting stuff done.
The last couple of weeks, as we've watched the Bitcoin have another bear run, and a lot of coding behind the scenes has been happening. What would you say is the biggest accomplishment that's gotten done in the last couple of weeks?
The biggest accomplishment that has gotten done, I think just pushing towards these new versions is always going to be for us, just optimizing the protocol here and just pushing to these new versions and moving forward. We identify things that are kind of holding us up or keeping the protocol from being where it wants to be, and just kind of making changes and upgrades and trying to get it back to as efficient as possible. Like we want the bandwidth to be low. We want everybody to be able to just run a node on their computer or run a $5 a month DigitalOcean droplet, and be able to stay online and in sync. So that's what we're working to.
Mm-hmm. So once a version is built and it's put on the testnet, what does the internal review look like?
Usually the internal review happens on a feature by feature basis. So that happens before it's put on the test network. Every time there's a pull request, somebody else will review it and talk about it with either the person who wrote it or the whole team, depending on how large a change it is. And then after all of those things have been put into a release, Each one of those things is tested in isolation, and then after they're put into a release branch, usually it starts as a release candidate, and then we'll test them on the beta network, and we have a checklist of things we need to go through with the undefined behavior sanitizer, address sanitizer. There's a few other things in there. Getting all of the release announcements sent out, prepared to be sent out initially, sending them out to exchanges, sending them out to the community. So I think there's like 10 things that have to get done when after the release has been cut for a release candidate. Then testing of the entire integration can start.
Sweet. All right. So moving away from the version 15 and a little bit back to community. This past week, there was an opportunity to go hang out with Colin and George. How did that go? Does anybody have a report on that?
Well, from everything I've seen, it went pretty well. It looked like they had about 30 people outside. I do apologize for the group of people that were inside and couldn't kind of meet up with them. But it does sound like they were still able to hang out and all chat about Nano. Yeah, it looked like Colin was kind of. I saw some of his topics that he was really speaking on. We're just kind of like this. Colin had a couple of talking points. He was just kind of focused on keeping Nanos really as simple as possible and keeping the protocol just light and efficient. And then focusing on where we can make the most difference to people. We've been meeting with the branding agency the last couple of weeks too, and that's one of the things that we've been focusing on with them, kind of like where we can make the most, where we can be the most effective, where Nano can be the most effective, whether it's in the developing countries or as kind of like a back end with possibly like remittance or any other kind of money transfers. And then, just that we're just really focused on getting the code base, making it as stable as possible, to the point where we can kind of really just push it for and get people using it.
Sweet. So this week you highlighted Nanode. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I was a little late. Sorry about that. I was a little late getting it out. Got it out today, Friday. Nanode has obviously been one of the was one of the first big projects really built around on Nano. He kind of was the first one to really document the node and kind of make it easier for everybody, different developers to build around Nano. And then he's just built a great block explorer. He recently has just added in some community ad space where you can easily purchase some ad space on Nanode in order to support him and keep the site running. And then I've been talking with him. I was talking with him today. Micah was working with him on getting the frontier list or the rich list set up, which has been, people have really been pining for here lately. So we're just gonna, keep adding to it and keep making it better. And but it's just a great part of the community and a great part of the ecosystem.
Sweet. And I did an interview with him in the first season of NanoCast. So if you want to check that out.
That was so good too. It's such a good episode.
Yeah, no, he's a really great way of communicating.
Yeah. I really enjoyed how he got into all of this based on an addiction to Ray games.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
So
Never played.
Did you Ray games, Russell?
Nope, I have never played Ray games.
You good, sweet summer child.
I've never played Ray games either.
Oh, guys. Come on.
I only care about the technology, Troy.
Okay.
It's just you, Troy. It's okay.
Not anymore.
Roy, you played Ray games? He's got the old-fashioned analog mute button.
Yeah, it's convenient. Trying to figure out which sound meant that it was unmuted. No, I don't really play any games.
Well, sorry,
Yeah,
Troy.
see, I think the Ray Games was big like post bull run or pre bull run for the most part, right? Like, I mean, I know it was like really big before December, and then I think some people got sucked into it in December. I always would get people messaging me and being like, "Hi, I lost all my Nano on Ray Games. What can I do?"
Don't be dumb next time.
I think Ray Games was cheating, and like I can prove it. I'm like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I got those shortly after joining the team.
Yeah,
That's funny. Did you guys see that video that was posted? I don't even know what it was. It was like pull requests or commits, like put in a video.
Oh, the one from like the last several years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that got updated again today, I guess.
So that was older.
No. So like they had one back in January that was basically like up till January. And so then this one got added on like the last 8 months, I think. But it was same kind of similar thing. I think the last one I saw was in January. I was talking to Norm, who does a lot of the just work around the community with me, and we're just gonna figure out how to get on that. It's going to be off in the corner.
Yeah, but you said as soon as we see your name on there,
yeah. It's just we're gonna pop up for a second, and then Colin will delete it, and then we'll be back, and yeah, that's the plan.
I liked how like it's usually like most of the videos like the little Colin person going around and like sending his godlike light to these circles.
Yeah, and then you see like January.
Yeah, right.
January 2018, and it's just like there's 40 people on there.
I liked how then it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of cool to watch to see how it went from like, all these contributors to just the core team, which was bigger than it was in November. So it was neat to see that. But I was going to say, it's funny how like, then every once in a while, just a random Colin would pop up and float across the screen. And you should watch it and keep that in mind.
All right, I will. I'll have to give it another run through. I like those. I enjoy whenever those are updated.
Yeah. It's a cool way to kind of see how long it takes to do all this stuff.
Troy actually did a pull request the other day.
I did. My first GitHub.
What did you send him something to upload, Roy?
No, it's for the developer portal for the roadmap. So I updated some stuff on the roadmap, marked it complete. But yeah.
Well, time to start selling.
My first GitHub. I did a GitHub, guys.
I made a GitHub for the sole purpose of NanoNode Ninja, so
Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've touched on a lot of great things, and unless you have anything to add, we'll call it a day.
No, fun as always.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks.
Thanks everybody for tuning in, and we'll see you next time on This Week in Nano.